Okay, so in this video I'm going to show you how to make vanilla extract, and I'm also going to show you how to extract the vanilla paste from the bean itself and get the full usage out of your beans and make the good solid concentrated vanilla extract. So this is one of the batches I've made, and you can see it's very dark. Alright, and I'll go over that in a minute, but I want to talk a little bit about vanilla first. Right now, as of 2018, vanilla has quadrupled in prices. When I bought this bag of vanilla, this is a 1 pound bag of extract grade, B grade vanilla beans, which in those days, the extract grade vanilla bean is equivalent to the A grade, what you're getting now, because what they're doing now is they're picking the beans green and they're selling them on the market green, and that gives you a lower quality vanilla. So a lot of people, instead of going to Madagascar to get the Madagascar vanilla bean, they're going to Thailand and Papua New Guinea and some of these other countries to get the higher quality vanilla bean, but you're going to pay the premium price for those. So you got to be careful where you're buying your vanilla right now. It's the whole vanilla market is just turned upside down. Part of that reason is that Madagascar was the main vanilla bean supplier for the world, basically. But there's all these other countries around there, and basically what happened is they got hit with like one hurricane one year, and then got hit with another hurricane, and then this happened and that happened. There was all these disasters. And then it caused the entire market to become a shortage in it. And so, of course, supply and demand, the shortage in the market just caused the price to go way up. So what was happening is there was a lot of investors that were looking at this whole situation. And so what they did is they bought all the vanilla bean, but they pre-ordered all the vanilla bean before it was picked. So they literally wiped out our vanilla bean supply. They pre-ordered it, held on to the vanilla bean. Now vanilla beans can last in a bag form 10, 15, 20 years, depends on how you keep it. It doesn't really ever go bad. So they were buying it and sitting on it and literally took all the vanilla bean out of the market, and they waited for the prices to go way up. And when the prices went way up, they started selling it off at the exorbitant prices. Because vanilla bean's not traded on the stock market and there's no real way to control it. Vanilla bean, coffee, and cocoa are the three things that aren't really traded on the market. There's no real commodity regulation on it. So because of that reason, people or investors or companies will do these type of things. They'll buy all the vanilla bean, they'll sit on it, they'll cause the market to get a shortage. They'll wait for the prices to shoot way up, and then they start selling it off at exorbitant prices. That's what they do. So right now we're in one of those skyrocketing price shortages right now in vanilla bean. So when I bought this bag of vanilla bean, I forgot what I paid for it. It was like $35 or $40, maybe $50 for a 1 pound bag of vanilla bean. Now, that same bag is almost $500. They're saying even now $600 for that same bag. And that grade of vanilla bean that you're buying, that 1 pound for $600, isn't even as good of a grade as what I got here. And this is B grade from back in the day. The stuff you're getting now is coming from green beans that weren't properly cured correctly, so you're not getting the best vanilla flavor, number one. And it's just a lower quality bean because they're being picked green. So it picked and sold green. The vanilla beans have to go through a drying process that takes several months to dry. If you pick them green and you don't dry them right, it's just the flavor of the bean doesn't develop. So that's what's happening with the market. So if you're looking to buy vanilla and you're going to pay some of the higher prices now, you're going to want to make sure that you get the most use out of your vanilla bean. And the way you do that is by getting the vanilla paste out of the bean, and then when you're done with the paste, you're going to take the bean husk and you're going to make an extract out of it. So I just wanted to cover a little bit about the vanilla market right now and where we're at. Now, I've read a lot of reports on it, and a lot of people are saying that this, inflation, vanilla inflation thing is going to collapse soon. It can't stay that way forever. It's going to, right now, Madagascar is going into full production. That means they're having a good year. They've increased their crops. Also, Thailand, Papua New Guinea, I think Taiwan. There's a bunch of countries. Mexico is suddenly kicked in high gear right now, because originally vanilla was from Mexico, but because they were able to cultivate it much better in Madagascar, Mexico's vanilla plantations and crops, they dropped it because it wasn't worth it for them. They were doing so much better in Madagascar and growing so many more beans. It just it wasn't worth for them to do it. But because the prices are so high, everybody in Mexico now is getting into the vanilla thing, and it grows really good in Mexico. Everybody's getting into the vanilla farming thing, so Mexico is going to be a new major supplier, and it takes about 5 years to start a vanilla to, where you start producing vanilla beans. It takes about 5 years for that crop to establish. So Mexico's basically been in a game roughly about 3 years now. They'll be going into full production mode. So in another 2 to 5 years, they're going to be up and running and putting out just as much, if not more, to Madagascar. So keep that in mind. The prices are probably going to be still high for the next 2 to 3 years, my guesstimate is. Some people are saying they don't know. They're thinking maybe another year, but it'll start breaking and start coming down. But my guess is within 2 to 3 years, you'll be able to get that same pound of vanilla bean again for within a reasonable price, $30 to $40, even $70 isn't bad for B-grade vanilla bean. And let me tell you, these B-grade vanilla beans aren't bad at all. But just keep that in mind that if you're going to buy vanilla, you're going to pay the high prices. Now, the alternative to that is to go to imitation vanilla. That's garbage. It's made out of, I forgot what it's called, vanillin or something, and it's just it's a synthetic flavor. And then there's other types of products that have imitation vanilla flavor, but they use natural sources to get the vanilla flavor, but it's not made as synthetically. You could try that. Again, it's not the same as vanilla. Vanilla has a very specific, unique quality to it. The oil in the vanilla has a very unique effect too when you eat vanilla. It's very similar to people who are cocoa addicted. Not cocaine, but like cocoa. Like when you get hooked on chocolate, you get this need to want to have it all the time. Well, vanilla is the same thing. If you consume enough of it, you can become addicted to it. So just keep that in mind. But at the prices it is today, it's worth, I forgot what they said, it's worth 20 times more than silver right now. So had I known that vanilla was going to do what it was going to do at those prices, I probably would have bought 50 pounds of these bags and just store them, because these vanilla beans don't go bad. You can store them for, as long as you keep them in a sealed container and they're wrapped up nice and neat, they'll stay moist and nice and pliable, and they'll stay that way for decades as far as I'm concerned. Alright, so anyway, we're going to make vanilla extract. Basically what I do with vanilla extract is I get a mason jar like this. Let me hold you back a little bit. I get a mason jar like this, and basically I just fill the jar up with vanilla beans and wait till I get enough of them in there, and then I add alcohol. Now, you can use vodka. This is the cheap way to do it. And you can buy, or you can use Everclear, which is almost 200 proof alcohol. And so why would you want to use 200 proof alcohol to make vanilla extract? Well, there's two ways of making vanilla extract. In order for you to get pure vanilla extract with no alcohol, isn't going to happen. So you have to use alcohol in that denaturing process. So one of the ways you can do it is you can use the vodka and just let it sit in there if you don't mind a little bit of a vodka flavor. Kind of offsets the flavor of the vanilla a little, I'll be honest with you. I prefer to have pure vanilla extract where it's pure with no alcohol in it rather than with alcohol, but it's easier and cheaper, and it stores better and longer if you leave it in the alcohol. It just simply never goes bad. it just kind of, it ages, and as it ages it gets a better flavor. But the other option you have is to use, like, for example, Everclear, which is 200% alcohol. It's basically 200. It's like 190 something proof. And if you use Everclear, what you do is you use it in here, you soak it, like you get to this point here where it's really concentrated. Right now, this is very, very concentrate right now. Very powerful stuff, vanilla-wise. You don't need much of this to get a good vanilla flavor from here, because it's so concentrated. I have so many beans in here. You can see all the beans. Where are you? Oh, I'm sorry. You can see all the beans I got in there, right? So there's a ton of vanilla in here, and I can just keep replenishing this by adding more alcohol to it. But if you use 190 proof or Everclear alcohol, what you can do is you get it to this point, okay, where it's very concentrated. And what you can do is you let that alcohol evaporate off, slowly but surely. Every time you go to use it, you open it and you let it sit out in the sun or something like that for, you know, a couple hours. You make sure the bugs don't get into it, but you let it sit out. And that alcohol will drop, it will evaporate a lot. It's mostly alcohol, so it's really going to evaporate. And it'll evaporate, evaporate, evaporate. Within like a week's time, you can basically evaporate all the alcohol out of it. And now you're left with pure concentrate of vanilla extract. Pure. You won't even taste any alcohol in it. It doesn't leave any aftertaste. So it's pure. That's the only way you're going to get that tincture, if you want to use that term, to get that extract out of it. Now that's the other option. I just leave it with the alcohol. It just spreads it out. If you're going to use it for cooking, making ice cream and stuff, you're not really going to taste the alcohol, especially when you use vodka, because vodka tends to really lose its sense of alcohol when it combines with liquid like water or something. You don't even really taste that unless you're really using, You can go with a higher grade alcohol, vodka too. You can go with a much higher grade, higher proof, that kind of a thing, and you'll get a better effect. This is just the cheapest stuff I could have found on, at the liquor store. All right, so those are your two ways you can go about making the vanilla extract and concentrating it if you want to do that. I would prefer, if you're into making vanilla ice cream and you really want to get pure extract, you're going to want to decant the alcohol off of it. There's really no other way to do that, to get that rich, full vanilla flavor. You don't want to use the alcohol like when it comes to vanilla. But in cooking cakes and stuff like that, it doesn't really matter because you're not really going to taste it. It's not going to offset the flavor noticeably. So what I do in order for me to get the paste out of the middle, you want to take a knife. I like to use this knife, a little paring knife, if you want to call it that. And what I like to do, you just hold one end of it with your finger, and what you want to do is go through the top layer of the bean. You just want to get through that top layer and slice that top layer. You don't want to go all the way to the bottom where you split them both, because now you're really going to have a hard time getting that paste out of there. Though it does happen, these are older beans, they're kind of dry a little bit, but because of that reason, it can split very easily. But if you just get that top layer, you're all right. So let's cut this open. I'm not going to do them all. I'm just showing you how to open the bean up correctly. If I could do it with this. This one's really dry. All right, so once you get that top cut, you want to peel that back. This is a bad example. This one's really breaking apart. Now, these are old beans, so they're dry. When you get fresh beans, they slice right easy. You can slice that top open very easy. And so once you get that basically cut, you want to take your knife like this, and you just want to spread that bean apart. Now this is a bad example. This bean is very dry. These beans are probably 6 or 7 years old, maybe 8 years old, so they're quite old. So they're not in the best example for me to show you how to do this. I'll try another one. This one's really breaking apart. It's really dry. And you just want to scrape that inside out. There's this black stuff right here. Where are you? Right here. You want to see that black stuff? That's gold right there. That is black gold. And so basically you just want to scrape it out. And I'm not going to do this one really. This one doesn't have much in there. Now some vanilla beans will have a lot of that black gold in there, and some just simply don't. So like this one's basically empty. There's not much in there, to be honest. But you want to keep scraping it until you see the wood part starting to show. Yeah, if you get a little bit of that wood powder from the husk gets in there, don't worry about it. That's more vanilla. You just don't want to scrape it, the whole thing, into a powder, you know. Not that it'll hurt you, but you don't want it. It starts adding texture that you don't want, you know. Yeah, that bean had nothing in it. That was almost basically empty. Oh, and the other thing too, when you're making the extract, instead of just cracking the bean in half and throwing it in there, I recommend opening it up. So if you don't plan on using the vanilla paste on the inside, if you don't plan on actually using that, and you're just going to put the whole bean in there anyway, still cut it open and make it so it's exposed to the extract. Very important you do that. If you don't do that, you're not going to get the best use out of it. But again, I'll just do this. See, this one may have split all the way through. If it did, we're not going to show it. Yeah, these are really, really dry. You want to get that black stuff out of there. See that? You want to scrape that all out. And that's the best way to get the center part out. And of course, you're going to get it on your hands. And what I do is I just scrape every little bit off. All right, you want to make sure you get every bit off of it. I don't want to waste any of it. All right, and it's very easy to waste this stuff because it's a very fine material. Once you get to the point where you scraped it, you got what you want out of it, now you're left with the husk on the outside. All right, you want to run your fingers on it too, like this. And whatever you get on your fingers, just again scrape off. You want to collect as much of this as possible because you're going to be paying a fortune for this stuff, especially right now. So you got to be very conservative with this stuff. All right. So basically, once you get that done, all I do is take it and I put it inside my jar like so. Put every piece in there. Don't worry about it. Right? We get that like so. Tastes good. Take your vodka. This is what I'm using. Take your vodka and just add it to the jar. Let me see. You can't even see me, can you? Let me back you out. And just add it to the jar. Now, if you don't have any, like I make a lot of vanilla extract, so if you don't have any concentrate in the jar already, like a lot of these beans already been soaking. So if you don't have any, it's going to take time for the beans to develop a color. It could take as much as 3 months before you start to see usable vanilla extract. So don't think you're going to do this in like 3 days. You're going to have extract. These jars. See, I used about that much to make that jar. Some of these jars are probably 8 years old. All right, these concentrates are as long as these been sitting in my concentrate for 8 years. I use a little as cooking as I need it. I use what I need. I don't buy it. I use what I could make. All right, and these lids don't last forever. They do rot out eventually. So you want to buy an extra pack of lids. You could buy an extra pack of these. You could get the replacement Bali lids. Just buy an extra pack of those. Keep them around, okay, because they will rot out in time, so they don't last forever. But basically what you see here is clear liquid in there, and you don't see any concentrate. But once I start mixing it up, and when you're letting it sit in your cabinet in a dark place for a while, you're going to want to go into your cabinet like once a week for like the first month or so, 2 months even, and take it out of the dark cabinet and shake it up just like this. You want to make sure you're mixing it up, you're agitating it. You want to give it a good mix. You want to make sure you're really washing out that vanilla oil. You don't have to go too crazy, but you definitely want to agitate it. Now you can see that this is already, it's already starting to, if you look at the top part, it's already starting to get yellow. I mean brown. It's already getting a brown color. So it's already leaching it out. But some of these old beans have been soaking for a while, so they're already soft and ready to go. But yeah, the more you shake it, the better, because you're really working it around there. And so that's how I make my vanilla extract, and then eventually in the end, you're going to end up with a high quality concentrated form of vanilla extract. This stuff is darker than the darkest espresso coffee you can imagine. There is absolutely nothing comes close to this vanilla extract. And I used 100% of my beans to make it. So like I said, when you start doing it, you can clean out your beans, get the whole thing started, but you're not going to ever remove those beans from the concentrate. Those are always going to be there because those vanilla beans will always be leaching out more and more flavor. So you just keep adding to that jar. The longer you got this jar around, the better I think the vanilla flavor gets. So just keep adding the bean to it and let it concentrate and build and build and build. You can't go wrong. You're not wasting any of the vanilla that you're paying a top dollar for, and you're getting the best use out of it. So anyway, that's about it. That's all I really got to say about vanilla right at this time. And I'll maybe show you this down the road. I'll see how dark it gets within a couple of weeks, and then that's it. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.